Welcome to How to Present the Best You. If this is your first time here, comment below and let me know you're joining me for the very first time. My name is Alexa Soto. If you're meeting me for the very first time, I am an influencer and just a motivational speaker, and I want to walk you through your career path journey. So let's get started. In today's topic, you're going to learn how to answer, tell me what are your strengths, and tell me what are your weaknesses. You always want to start by answering that question based on the position that you are interviewing for. So you want to tailor your answer based on the company that you're applying for as well. So when they ask you what are your strengths, think about the position that you're applying for. What are the key elements to that role based on the job description? And then you want to answer that question based on that, because that's in essence what the employer is trying to listen for in the answer. So they want to know that your strengths are relatable to what they're looking for in the position. So for instance, if your background is in customer service, but you're applying for an administrative assistant position, you don't want to say, well, my strengths are, taking orders from people or selling the most shoes at the department store or that sales experience. You want to definitely speak to the role that you're applying for. So you may want to say that your strengths are that you have great organizational skills, that you are a multitasker, that you are reliable and dependable, and prove that. You want to definitely give an example of that, because we all say we're reliable and we're dependable, but what exactly does that mean, and how does that translate to the employer when you're speaking to them? So you want to use an example of that by saying, for instance, in my last position, I probably missed 2 days out of the whole year. That's not very common, but it could be you, right? If you don't miss work, just say that you don't miss work ever unless it's an absolute emergency. That's showing that you're reliable. Or you can say, I'm never late to work, I'm always on time to work. That's another way of demonstrating that you are reliable to your employer. So definitely use things and scenarios and situations that are relatable to the current role, not something that's distant from what you are applying for, because they need to put two and two together during your interview, and they have a short window to be able to do that. So you definitely want to say that these are my strengths and speak to it based on the job description that you read. So again, let's use the scenario of an administrative assistant position. If you're applying for an administrative role, you can definitely say my strengths are that I definitely am able to prioritize my task. I know how to meet deadlines. I know how to perceive the need. I know how to act proactively. I know how to act reactively when needed. I work well under stress. I work well under pressure. I'm a team player. I work well under leadership. I can follow directions well. I can take directives well. I mean, the list goes on and on and on some of the wonderful things that you can say in relations to that position. So that's the best way how to answer what are your strengths. And then you also want to think of the top 3 things that come to your mind. What are you really, really good at? We all have great skills. We're all very talented people. So think about the top 3 things that you're most proud of that you can share in that moment. This is your opportunity to share some of the achievements that you've had, and what are your strengths and what you've been able to gain over the years, that knowledge. What did you gain? What did you learn? What has been applicable to your job based on what you've learned and been able to retain throughout the years? So this is the moment that you're able to share that. So you want to share that as your top 3 strengths. Again, something that relates to the position that you're applying for, not a distance role that you had in the past. You want to definitely use, think about the top 3 things that you're most proud of and share that as your strength, right? And then you also want to think about what is it that you can bring to the table for this job as your third answer. So your top 3 things could consist of those 3 things. Your third one can be how you could be an asset to this organization, to this company, because I know that prior to getting to the interview process, you've thought of that. Because there has to be a reason why you were interested in the position. Something about the posting, something about the title of the job, something about the job description attracted you to this role. Something was relatable to you. So what was that? And what made you think or envision yourself in that position? And if you can envision yourself in that position, share that. I can just picture myself in this role because it's the perfect fit for me, right? My strengths are helping other people. So this position is going to allow me to do that. This position will allow me to help you. This position will allow me to help be an asset to the team. Just allow me to use my project management skills, whatever the case may be. This is your opportunity to kind of put those pieces of the puzzle together and let that employer see that big picture. Okay, so that's how you answer that question. Now, let's jump into the other question that's not so easy to answer, which is, tell me, what is your weakness? First of all, I must say, someone that is a senior global manager over our talent acquisition and our global culture, I don't ask that question anymore as to what is your weakness. I ask a question that is similar. So what I basically ask is, what is an area of improvement that you have worked on in the past year? And what changes did you make? So that's kind of a way that I ask that same question, but I make it in a different format. And the reason for that is because for those recruiters who are out there, the job seekers already nervous about the job interview, intimidated about meeting management and leaders and upper management during the interview. They probably haven't interviewed in a very long time. So then to ask what is your weakness brings a negative thought process to the individual. So now they're sinking in their chair. They're not quite as confident as they were when they walked in because you're having them be reminded of something negative. So I still ask that question, but in a different way. And for those job seekers out there, the reason why we ask that question is because we want to know what is an area that you've been working on or an area of improvement so that we know what we can help you with if we were to offer you the position. So that's in essence why we ask that question. It's not because we want to bring the interview energy down, or we want to bring you down or to a negative place in your mind, but it's because we want to identify an area that you need improvement in and how we can help you if we were to offer you the job. So if I were to offer you a position, let's use that same scenario for the administrative assistant, but I know that your weakness is that you're not very good at prioritizing. Well, first of all, you may not get the job, but let's say you get the job, then I know that setting your priorities is not going to be your strength. So that's something I would need to help you with, perhaps give you some guidance on how to set your priorities. But then everything else you're good at. You're reliable, you're dependable, you know how to, work with your project, you know how to work amongst a team, you're very, very intelligent, you know how to express yourself, and you have a great presence about you. So everything else is good. But if you answer that question and your weakness is that you don't know how to prioritize, chances are one of two things: you may not get the job, or if you do get the job, then at least I know that's an area that I have to help you with. So here's some of the ways that you can answer that question. And so that would be when someone says, what is your weakness? Think of something that's general. Something in general, not something so specific. So don't say, my weakness is, that I really get bored easily. I've heard that so many times, and that is such a wrong answer to give, that you get bored easily, because who's in the business of entertaining you while you're working? No one, right? You're going to be given a task, and your job is going to be to execute that task to the best of your abilities. And the expectation is going to be that you're going to be self-motivated enough to do that. So never say I get bored easy, or I need things to do, or if I'm not challenged, I tend to just walk away from the position because I have to be challenged, or don't use those scenarios, because have you ever heard the term you're shooting yourself in the foot? That's basically what that means. You don't want to do that. So what you want to say is something that's kind of in general, something that's workable, but something that's applicable. So I'm not asking you to make something up, but use a real life scenario on something that perhaps, let's say it's something that was a weakness, but now has become an area of improvement for you because you've been working on it, which is basically what the employer wants to know. So some of the examples that you can use on how to answer what is your weakness is, you can say, some people say, well, I'm a perfectionist. That's actually not a bad answer, because that can be a good thing and a bad thing. Not a good thing and a negative thing. I wouldn't use the word bad, but good and negative. Some people say I'm a perfectionist. Some people say, in the past I've heard people say my mathematical skills are not the best. I don't know if that's the best answer. And some people have said to me during the interview on your weakness, they've also said, well, I don't know how to say no. So I would say that the best answer would be, I am a people pleaser. That's actually a pretty good answer, because it's a positive thing, and it's also an area of improvement, because you do want to help and please your employer and leadership and management, and you want to show that you are a pleasant person to work with. So that's a good thing. However, a people pleaser also always says yes, yes, yes to everything, and gets themselves a little bit overwhelmed. So it's not the worst answer. I actually think that's a pretty good answer to give, is that you're a people pleaser, and sometimes it's a little difficult for you to say, that you can't take on any more than what's already on your plate. That's a really good way to say that. Sometimes I take on so much that it's hard for me to say, I actually have my plate pretty full, but I love to help you with that once my plate becomes a little bit more empty. So there's different ways that you can answer that questions. I wanted to give you some examples on how to do that. And I'll also provide you some details and some guidance by sending you a link below that you can press, that'll give you some good techniques on answering that question as well, just to kind of give you a little bit more details on that, because again, you're going to be asked that question probably every interview. Hopefully, I can get to as many recruiters out there to say, try not to ask what is your weakness, but instead ask what made you decide to what's an area of improvement in your life, in your work professional life, that you have been working on, and what has been the outcome of that. Something to that nature, so that you can see that the person has drive and motivation to make changes in areas that is their weakness. Now, we know just based on experience that for some, their weakness is that they do get overwhelmed easily, or that they don't know how to handle pressure very well, or they're not a team player, or they make a lot of mistakes because they're not detail oriented. So we know that those are the things that we're looking out for. Those are red flags. So that's why the question is asked, right? To determine what are your strengths and what are areas that perhaps if we were to offer you the position, we would together need to work on. So I hope that I've helped you today. I hope I've added value to your interview questions. I hope you get that job. I hope you ace that interview. And remember, if you don't get this position, you will get the next position. But stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. And until next time, subscribe below, tag, share, and send this to a friend that needs it. And I will be on this journey with you. I'll see you later.